Good evening, beautiful beings of light. Welcome to the Crone Zone Conversations with the Ancients. My name is Priscilla, and this is my buddy Heather. And tonight we're going to do our monthly remote view. I should say, Heather's going to do her monthly remote view. Well, how we do this is that we pick whatever spot she wants to a remote view, and then
I a list of what everybody has sent.
Yes, we have a huge list of things that people have sent, so that I research what I can find on whatever location she's going to go to, and I'll give you a bit of a presentation on that, and then she will start telling us about how she remote viewed the current place that we're looking at. And today's the Grand Canyon. I don't know how many of you guys have been to the Grand Canyon, but I love the Grand Canyon. I think it's fantastic.
I think I was there when I was 2. I haven't been back.
When you were 2?
Yeah. My mom keeps talking about, she had made bunches of clothes out of the parachute material because she knew that, she could wash them out and just hold them out the window as they were driving and they'd be dry. And I could,
How funny.
Anyway, I gather they were fairly see-through, but my dad got irate because I was leaning over the railing, the bottom rung, and looking over, and somebody wanted to take a picture because evidently my butt was showing, and he was upset and I wouldn't let him do it.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah. So that's the only reason I know I was there.
Right. I think I've been several times with my family. Hi, Amanda Carroll. Welcome. We went as a family summer vacation type thing. Mm-hmm. And then I went with my brother one year. I think Jennifer was about 5 or 6. Hey, Akila. We went when she was little, and we stayed on the North Rim in the lodge. And we were there during one of the meteor showers. I've never seen anything like it. Because it was so dark over the canyon. The stars were absolutely brilliant. It was one of the most amazing things I've ever experienced, and it was really sad to hear that North Rim, the lodge, had burned in this most recent fire. It's sad.
And I know we never went back after that one time when we were that little. I grew up in New Jersey. You grew up in Texas. It was
we were all over the Southwest on school holidays.
It was a much more reasonable trip for you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And knowing my parents, we probably had the travel trailer. We had a little travel trailer that slept 6, very uncomfortably, but 6 if you really pushed it.
You pushed it.
Hey, Lauren, how are you, fellow dragon? Nice to see you here tonight. I hope everybody's doing well this week. So, like I said, we're going to be looking at the Grand Canyon, and I guess I will go ahead and start. What time is it? Yeah, I'll go ahead and start this. So, have you guys ever been to the Grand Canyon? It is truly an amazing place. The rocks at the canyon's base are among the oldest exposed on Earth. Dating back approximately 1.8 billion years, the formation as we know it is much more recent development. Yeah, it was over the last 5 to 6 million years.
Exactly.
The river has been a relentless erosive force, slowly cutting through layers and layers of rock. Of course, this was accelerated by the uplift of the entire Colorado Plateau. As the land rose, the river's gradient increased, giving it more power to carve a deeper and wider channel. I'm so glad to hear that, Lauren. Yeah, Keela, it's definitely worth going to see. So I'm going to tell you what I researched and came up with, and then Heather's going to show us what she found out. Yeah. So the Grand Canyon's not just a geological site, it's a landscape with a rich human history. For thousands of years, various indigenous tribes have called this region home. For these communities, the canyon is a sacred and ancestral place. deeply integrated into the cultural identity, traditions, and spiritual beliefs. I love this. Tribes like the Havasupai, here's one I didn't look up, the Hulaapi, and Pueblos consider the canyon sacred. Their ancestral lands and traditions are intertwined with the landscape. The Anasazi, also known as the ancestral Pueblans, left behind significant ruins and cliff dwellings dating back centuries, offering glimpses into their lives, their dwellings, and agricultural practices and artistic impressions. If you look in the top right of this slide, you can actually see some of the ancient pueblos. Oh, Amanda Carroll, you live in Seattle. My granddaughter just moved there. Awesome. Um, let's see. Examples like the Esplanade polychrome style dating back to the archaic period 8000 BC to 1000 BCE, and the Shaman's Gallery panel, along with deer pictographs, Mallory's Grotto, provide visual insights into beliefs, daily life, and pathways used by the ancient canyon occupants. The Esplanade polychrome style is only present at less than 50 sites along a couple of northern tributaries. Which tributaries? I don't know. Shaman's Gallery in the Esplanade area is a pictograph panel on a large rock overhang, portraying multicolored, peculiar looking figures of varying sizes and designs. Several have no arms, and one figure appears to sport not just one but three heads. The panel also includes markings of a few animals like sheep and deer, as well as multiple sun-themed motifs. I can't get any closer to that shot. Here are the deer pictographs. You can see done in the red, that red, with their, you can barely see their little antlers. They're so old. These are really interesting. One of the most interesting artifacts discovered in the Grand Canyon were made by whittling small sticks into the shapes of animals like deer and bighorn sheep. What are they? These are called split twig figurines. These small palm-sized artifacts dating back about 4,000 years show early artistic and possible ritualistic practices. Some had spears piercing them, suggesting use as hunting talismans. And then dating from around AD 450 to 750, these baskets from the basket maker culture demonstrate intricate weaving skills and indicate a transition towards agriculture. The basket maker culture of the Southwest was known to live in the Grand Canyon from roughly 550 to 825 CE. Their name comes from the high quality baskets that were so tightly weaved they could have held water. I love baskets. I'd take one of those. And this pottery looks like a basket to me. Various pieces of pottery, such as the Flagstaff black on white bull from 1100 to 1275 CE, reveal the craftsmanship and cultural styles of the ancestral Puebloan people. This culture lived in the Grand Canyon from roughly 825 CE to 1250 CE. They are beautiful baskets, aren't they?
Mhm.
Now we've got myths and mysteries, indigenous creation stories. The Havasupai tell a story of two gods, Techopa and Hokomata, and how a great flood sent by Hokomata led to the formation of the Grand Canyon. Techopa protected his daughter Pukae by placing her in a hollowed out log, which became a vessel during the flood. After the floodwaters receded, Pukae emerged and, through divine and natural conception, repopulated the earth, with the Havasupai being the first people. Let me see what else I read about this. She survived the flood, and as the water receded, the river cut the great fissure that became the Grand Canyon. And later she gave birth to the first people, the Havasupai. Then the Hopi myths. Emergence from the third world. The Hopi believed that They emerged from a previous third world into this fourth world through a spiritual portal called a Sipapuni. This site is believed to be located in the confluence of the Colorado and Little Colorado rivers within the Grand Canyon. In another Hopi legend, two brothers and gods, Pokanhoya and Polonghoya, use lightning and mud to shape the Grand Canyon and the river that flows through it. They also created major geological features in the region. So in this one, the creator, or Baitawa, the sun god, because the people had become corrupt and warlike, he created the great flood. Spider Woman saves the righteous people by providing them with shelter in hollow reeds or bamboo, which serve as boats during the flood. Guided by Spider Woman, they float in the floodwaters until they eventually find their way to the fourth world within the Grand Canyon, specifically a place called Sipapu. This place is considered a sacred portal or pathway to the underworld. In the Navajo flood myth describes a great deluge that almost wiped out their ancestors, who transformed into fishes to survive. The waters eventually receded, revealing the land shaped like the Grand Canyon. The Navajo then transformed back into humans and repopulated the area. Let's see. Now, this is the one that really got my attention, the Egyptian artifact. The claim of the ancient Egyptian artifacts in a hidden city in the Grand Canyon is widely debunked myth. It originated from a sensationalized article in the Arizona Gazette in 1909, which falsely reported the discovery of a cave filled with Egyptian-type artifacts by explorer G.E. Kincaid in the Smithsonian Institute. The Smithsonian has publicly denied any involvement, and historians consider the story a hoax.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Yeah, it was never verified. And the Smithsonian says, don't know anything about it. Apparently, they get quite a few calls. Okay, here are the sources of the information. I'm not going to go on to much of this, but they're here if you want them. Okay. So the reason that I wanted us to look at the Grand
Do you
Canyon.
want me to answer that one first?
I'm sorry?
Do you want me to answer that one first? Or just go through my stuff?
I think you should just go through your stuff and let's keep people wondering.
All right. So anyway, this was more a time and dimensional type travel rather than just going to see the rocks. It was like, how did they get there? What happened? Things like that. So it was more of a time and dimensional. And my guide, because I always ask for a guide, and they're always nice and give me an easy name. His name was Ben.
Ben?
And he's Ben. Yeah. And he was indigenous. But he wasn't just, I asked, did you live there? He says, well, not yes and no. Yes, he did, but he is assigned to take care of the canyon. He oversees what happens there.
Oh, wow.
He keeps things safe, and I'll explain that at the end, what I was told. But he's there to make sure, to watch and make sure certain things do and do not happen.
Huh.
Okay.
Interesting.
He said, and I said, well, tell me about it. He said, well, originally it was more like land with the Mississippi, a big river, but it was not the Grand Canyon. At one time, there was dirt all in there at one time.
So it was like a river with green valleys on both sides, that sort of thing.
It had rock, but it also had dirt. I mean, all the way down was dirt. It wasn't until much later that it was, I'll talk about that, but what happened. But originally it was just land. Like if you were to go to the Mississippi now, you'd see this huge river and land on either side.
Okay.
I get it. basically was what it started out as. And the river was used for transportation, trade, fishing, crops, because there was fertile land there. They were taking water and growing things. It was agricultural.
Okay,
It
and
was
this is like people lived there over 5 million years ago.
exactly, yeah.
Wow.
It wasn't desolate like it is now, but it was just everybody lived there, and the dirt was not. I mean, there was plenty of dirt. It was rich, but it was washed away to the rock base, which is what's left now, and then eroded from there. And that was at the end of the ice ages when everything melted. It it did it like boom, and all of a sudden all this flood water was coming through and got rid of all the dirt and went down from there.
Wow.
So not that we'd ever see it or anything like that, but that's basically what happened. And the indigenous who lived there, they farmed and hunted. And even though there are caves in there, that's where they lived. They didn't have to climb up to it. It was, when you see a cave, a lot of times it was just almost level.
Ground level or whatever.
That's what I said. If it's high up, well, that at one time there was dirt up that high.
Right.
So that's where they all came from. And they didn't necessarily go up and make those. I mean, they made them, but they were on ground level.
Wow.
They came down for water and farming. It was difficult from day to day, but not nearly as deep. I mean, they had large areas of land. It's just like they were near the river, so they went down to the river, get what they needed. Let's see. And they were saying the burro paths that are there, you can take donkey rides down and back. I said they've always been there. It's just as the erosion got there and after the floods, because there was not just the one that did all the dirt. I mean, it took all the dirt, but it took time for it to take everything. Those paths just got deeper. People just went down as the land went down,
So they're like probably wildlife trails as well as paths for people to get to and from. Okay. Interesting.
Right. Yeah, they all went up whatever way was easiest. It's not really habitable anymore. Everything's been washed away, and all the indigenous that were there have left for better areas. If you wash all the dirt away and you can't grow anything or do anything except climb rock, you're not going to stay.
Pretty much desert. It's pretty much desert.
But they are considered ancestral because they know they came from there. So a lot of it is holy ground. They lived in the caves and the rocks, and they enlarged those caves from where they were. The families lived there. They farmed, had kids, knew how to fish and swim, also farmed. Didn't use tents. When they migrated, they just left. But it wasn't like you see these in the plains with tents. They didn't need
teepees.
Teepees, yeah. They didn't need those because they had the caves.
Right.
That was protection. The river, let's see, weather. The different weathers. It's like any river. When you've got snow and stuff going down, then it runs faster. So it was a natural erosion at first till it got really bad. And it became dangerous because that much water was hard to, with the weather and the ice age and the floods and everything else, it became, you couldn't live there. It was too dangerous to be there. So everybody eventually ended up out of the canyons because it wasn't a canyon so much anymore. I mean, it got worse. So they left before, there was no place to grow anything because there was no dirt left. It all got eroded. And I asked about that. Were the Egyptians there, is what I asked. And they said no. But because of the alien influences on Earth at that time, the communication, there was shared technology. I mean, think about it. You had all those pyramids all over the world. They communicated. So some of the stuff, when the aliens would visit them, would get transferred. So some of the technologies were there. Also, whatever they learned there during the floods, most of it was washed away. What they have found is what was so far back in caves that even though the water went rushing by, it only goes in so far. It may fill up with water, but it doesn't drag everything out because it's too far back. So that's what they've been finding, what were things that were left there.
So I'm confused. So it wasn't actually Egyptian, but it was Egyptian-like artifacts?
It could be with all the technology and everything that could be transferred through the aliens, because it was alien influenced, what they're finding.
Can you expand on the alien influence? This is new to me.
Aliens built the pyramids.
No, I'm talking about the alien influence in the Grand Canyon. I don't understand.
Well, I said since they built, there was some way that they were communicating with those.
With the other pyramids around the world?
I don't know that there were pyramids, but they visited. Aliens traveled, so they did visit. But all they said was that they actually, even when they visited, they carried artifacts that were copied.
Wow.
So when they visited,
aliens visited the Grand Canyon.
Yes, the aliens did. Before it was the Grand Canyon, they would visit those. That's part of their culture, to help them. And they taught them
farming and stuff
like that. Yeah. And at that time, it was green enough that hunting there made a lot of sense. So when you see something of a deer, that makes a lot of sense, because the grounds there would support them at that time. And the technology was similar. It's kind of like pyramids in Mexico and South America and in Egypt. They were everything was connected.
Can Ben tell us how it was connected to the Grand Canyon?
We know the pyramids were, and they traveled from different places. And that was a stopping place, because that was a very big area of living.
Okay.
I mean, there were lots of different spots, but it was lush. It was good for survival. It was originally, it was very good for survival and very good for farming and raising whatever families and everything. It was a green area. It was really so I
lush
said,
and fertile.
Kind of like certain areas of the Mississippi.
Well, and Egypt was too at the time.
Exactly.
It's green and fertile at the same time.
So
did they leave any kind? Did the aliens leave anything there that has been found?
Some of their technology. I mean, like I said, they would bring things, and the indigenous people would copy them, and then it became their stuff. But if you were to, it's like anything else it's like if you go to a house now that is Zen house, it's probably reminiscent of Japanese influence. That's the kind of thing. I mean, I looked at a Zen house, and it was so remarkably Japanese, all by its lonesome. There were no other houses around like it.
Right.
But you could tell, so when they're going and visiting all these different areas, and they were helpers. Of course, they're going to bring things that were good for them.
Right. Being the sky gods that they are. Another question I have is, do those caves exist that were in the newspaper article? Did those the explorers actually find caves with artifacts?
Yeah, but they're not the only ones. I mean, there are other caves where they found artifacts. That's where you got those little talismans and the baskets and other things. I mean, they would not survive out in the open. They'd
No,
have
I
to
was
be
speaking
caves.
particularly about the Egyptian type artifacts. Were those caves real that was in the newspaper article in 1909? That
The caves were real. The interpretation was not.
okay.
Okay.
It looked Egyptian. I mean, those things were there and they looked Egyptian, but they weren't necessarily Egyptian.
No, they weren't. But
Gotcha.
there was influence on them. And only the protected caves withstood the flood and raging waters. Like I said, they were very deep, so that stuff would stay there. It might get moved forward, but it would stay there. Things far enough back weren't swept away. And a lot of the surviving stuff ended up, believe it or not, there's some of it ended up in Mexico. That was a huge river that just overflowed and just kept going. Also, there were indigenous people who managed to make boats and would end up going down the river, whether they wanted to or not. They were going, you know.
So
there
the Colorado River goes to
migration
Mexico.
there.
The Colorado River flows to Mexico, so that makes sense.
Yeah. It just kept going. And when you get down to it, if you've got a migration, not whether it was meant or not, going that direction, there's nothing to stop the people from saying, well, what else is there, you know, from moving on. And that makes perfect sense to me. I don't know if it makes sense to everybody else, but that's part of the reason mankind spread.
Yeah.
So, Amanda, you said, was the ground and rock red in fertile times? Not red was more clay. It wasn't. It seems to be more fertile than clay, is what I'm getting. So, there were lots of different indigenous people. That was a huge area. And there are a lot more places that have been that are unexplored, where there are more artifacts still, but they're not meant to be found yet.
Interesting.
So you're not.
Why is that? Is it because it's technology?
There's a lot more to learn from there, but we're not ready. There are also different areas in different dimensions. Again, not found yet. That's part of what he's overseeing. He's making sure that.
So does that have to do with that portal?
Yes. That's
and
what
what's
I got.
What's the portal used for? And what
They
was it
still
used for
have in different dimensions. They still have people coming in, and a lot of it is to come in and work with Ben and see how far mankind has come. Is it ready yet for this yet? Where do we want this?
Oh.
So there are decisions still being made. They said that the canyon itself was formed because it was intentional. It was through nature, but it was intentional, so that we would be able to tell about how old the earth is. And it's also at the same time, it's beautiful, but it's so we can see that. It demonstrates how much force the water has and nature. A taste of what else is in the universe and contrasts with the bounty of earth. In other words, trees, grasses, Mother Earth has all this stuff that's not necessarily available in the rest of the universe. So they're using all the contrasts that you can see that there are so many things on Earth. It was formed as a natural wonder so that mankind would revere it and keep it up and keep the contents safe. If it was just anything, people, that wouldn't make any difference. Amanda, does the canyon explain why indigenous folks were not afraid of heights? Hawk medicine. They didn't. Okay, what I'm getting is that it doesn't. What they're telling me is they just got used to going up and down these things, that it just was daily for them, so it didn't bother them.
Makes sense.
So, but they did tell me one thing at the end, and I was everybody, even now, should go and look at it and take whatever rides there are available on a hike and look past the 3D aspects. I mean, the 3D aspects are remarkable, but nothing compared to what you'll see if you look from a higher dimension. What you'll actually see are tribes, shadows, you know, they're there. Like, they're not really ghosts, but it's like a film of the ancient things. But what you're actually going to see,
wow,
are people still living there. They're shadows in the middle of the air, which makes sense because it's where they would have been at that time. The ground would have been up there. Okay, and where you see them is where the ground level was when they were alive. That's
wow.
why they look like they're floating in the sky. They are a different dimension, showing you things like how they did things or what they believed or what it was like to be there. But they're saying you need to go back. You need to look, but don't look in 3D. Look at higher dimensions, because that's where you're going to see what was there.
Mhm.
Because only on Earth is there time. But if you look through different dimensions, you're going to see that time in the same thing. You're looking through dimensions, you're seeing what happened in different dimensions. And they're saying everybody needs to go back and look again
Wow, that's interesting.
because it's there.
I'm going to go back. I will have to go back.
It's
That's
not
fascinating.
necessarily easy to do, but they're saying, you know, you can see what it was like before, what it is now. So,
Wow.
and I kept seeing, when I was looking, I kept seeing families and people all over the place. I kept seeing them walking around like, oh, you know, we're just going over to visit this. I'm going to go do this, you know. And I kept seeing all these.
Going about their daily work, their daily
Exactly.
chores and all that.
And they're saying everybody else can see that if they look, if they can get in the right dimensions, if they can see through there. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah. So they're saying, go back, look again. And when everybody can do that again, then you're going to find more stuff.
Well, I can't wait to go back.
More
I'll
things to
put it
help.
on my list.
Yeah.
That's really neat because I've always wanted to go back as an adult, and now even more so.
Yeah, I want to go back. I've always wanted to go. I've just never done that. But living in Colorado, maybe sometime once I get moved and there's some time, maybe I can do that.
White Dragon's asking, it would appear to be a very mundane area. Anything important happen there?
They are all an example of living peacefully together. There were no wars. That is their idea of everybody took care of everybody else. They met somebody else. There was never the That was the ideal place. That's what they want us to go back to. Our humans need to get
So it was
together.
peaceful and they got along with each other, the different tribes. Sorry, I
And
have a
did things for each other. You know, they were, it was all taking care of each other. It didn't matter who it was.
that's a
If
good
somebody,
lesson.
and some tribes or indigenous groups were better at one thing than some other ones, and they just intermingled and helped each other. It was peaceful. It wasn't the jealousy, or everybody just went out. And that's what was important about that place before it was destroyed into being the canyon.
Right.
Everybody that lived there did well. And even as things eroded and they moved down further and further, as the group, they still lived peacefully. They were an example. Yes, cooperative sharing.
I love that.
Yeah, nice terms.
I can't think of any other questions. Anybody else have any questions?
It was
Let's know.
it was nice to see. I mean, like I said, and I can see it now, that everybody was happily doing their own things, and as you said, they were cooperatively sharing.
That's great.
Yeah, so that's what was important about the Grand Canyon before it became the canyon.
And the lesson there now is?
Hmm?
The lesson there now is?
That's what we should be doing, is taking care of each other, sharing
Yeah.
cooperatively.
Yes.
And you will see it. If you can see through the different dimensions, you will see them being cooperatively sharing.
Well,
How
I
happy
hope I can see that when I go. Anything about the acoustics of the canyon? I don't.
Oh, let me see if I can ask. It made communication between the different tribes as it got lower and lower until it's got to be what it is. But as it got lower, it made the communication easier. It didn't have to be as close to be able to communicate, because it would just kind of travel,
Me
not
too, Amanda.
but travel through. So
She says, I hear flutes. I hear flutes too.
mhm. That's how they communicated a lot of times,
Flutes and
because they would
drums.
travel through very easily.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So were these tribes that I didn't mention that these are before the tribes that we know of now, correct?
Mhm. Yeah, they all kind of gathered, especially with the flood. Those that were close in one area ended up being cohesive and went on.
Right.
So that makes sense to me too. But yeah, that's what happened. The ones that were close together for their own survival, banded together and moved because it wasn't safe there anymore.
How long did people live back then?
Anywhere from 50 to 125.
Good Lord.
So
Wow.
it just depends.
Will we ever find any evidence of these pre-flood peoples?
They said there you might, in different dimensions for sure, but at the very top of the canyons, down the top to down about 10 feet, they still had some caves back in there, but they're so high up and they're so small now that it's hard to find anything, but there is stuff there.
Wow,
Ben doesn't let it be found.
Makes me want to be an archaeologist and to go discover stuff like that.
If they get too close to stuff that they're not supposed to find yet, Ben helps out. Like I said,
Moves them along. Move along. Nothing to
move
see
on,
here.
nothing to see here, go. You know?
That's kind
Yeah,
of funny.
he takes care of the place, and he
Um,
is multidimensional.
does he have any advice for us?
That's what he was saying. Come back, look
Come
at it
back.
from different dimensions. You'll see things. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Well, okay. Thank you for that. That was fascinating.
Yeah, actually, I found it a lot more fascinating than I thought I would. But
It's
it's,
I didn't realize that humanity was even here before it was developed. I mean, before
yeah,
it was made or
there
created.
is, right. It's, and it wasn't as we know it now. It was different. It was another one of those experiments that didn't necessarily work out. Although
Experiments by
they're
whom?
aliens.
Wow.
But it, I mean, that particular group worked out, but the rest of the world didn't, and they just had to start all over again.
Oh my goodness.
So, but they were what we were hoping for and what we need to be going towards. So,
Community,
community.
cooperative
Yep.
sharing. I love that.
Yeah.
I hope we get back to that in my lifetime. I'd love to see that.
I would like to at least see it start,
Yeah, for sure.
that we know that it's going that direction. That
Yeah,
would be good.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Heather. I
Sure.
appreciate that. Um, any other comments, guys? Otherwise, I guess we're done. We will be back on Saturday with Miss Aquila. We're going to read cards on Saturday. So if you want your cards read, little mini readings, we're going to do that with Aquila on Saturday. It's been a while since Heather and I have read cards, so that's going to be fun.
It'll be different. Yeah.
And if you guys have any places that you'd like to suggest that Heather remote views, pop us an email. Let us know, and we'll do that. We still have about 10 other places, I think, on the list so far. So you'll just have to
More
look and
than
see
that.
what resonates.
I've got one written down that I needed to find out a little bit about.
What's that?
Some mountain.
Okay.
White Dragon and I were talking about it. And
White Dragon, what mountain is she talking about? Good, Amanda. I'm glad you can make it on Saturday. Aquila's always so much fun to work with and to read with. She's a joy. She's really a gifted, loving human being, and I love being in her energy. So I'm looking forward to Saturday.
now the only thing I know about this mountain is that it's somewhere like China or Ethiopia, in that area. I don't know anything about it other than, and until I actually get a chance to look in there, I can't tell you too much. But it is a well-known mountain in that area, and there are.
Okay.
So that's all I know about it. I will let you know exactly what mountain it is.
Sounds good to me. Sounds
So,
good to me.
yeah.
Okay, then. Well, thank you everybody for showing up tonight. We appreciate it. We hope you have a wonderful week. And yes, Aquila, yeah, oh, we love being with you too.
Yes, we do. That's it.
Oh, Mount Kalish. That's in um, what's the biggest mountains? The biggest
In
mountains?
the Alps.
Himalayas. It's in the Himalayas.
Himalayas.
It has
Okay.
nothing to do with Ethiopia, which is in Africa.
I don't know. I don't know where everything is. I just know,
Mount Kalish.
Yeah.
We actually, I swear to God, we did a show on Mount Kalish. It's
I
like the
don't
sacred
remember.
mountain of it's an sacred mountain of India.
India. That's why I was thinking India. I kept getting India in my head.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Mount Kalish is actually shaped like a pyramid.
hmm
It's 8-sided like a pyramid, which I think is pretty
8
interesting.
or 4.
A pyramid's 8-sided if you look from the top.
Ah, okay.
You look from the top, it's because it has a, oh, I can't think what you call it. It's concave. Is that right? Anyway, they're 8-sided if you have a look.
Right.
All right, then. Well, thanks for joining us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Always lovely to have you all here. Please go out and spread your love and light. Speak your truth. It's crazy times.
Yes, it is.
Crazy, crazy times. Love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. And we'll see you on Saturdays for some card reading.
Yes.
Sounds fun.
Enjoy
Till
it.
then,
Bye-bye.
love you guys. Till next time.
Sharanam